Nobody understood why Earth stayed quiet. Every other young species in the galaxy rushed to join the summits, arguing, begging, boasting, trying to prove they mattered. But Earth ignored every call. No reply, no delegate. Not even a simple acknowledgement that to most of the galaxy. It felt like an insult. Ambassador Rellan of the Ori's Dominion remembered the first transmission he sent. He spoke for hours, praising cooperation, unity, shared futures. Earth sent nothing back. Not even static. As years passed, the summits became tense whenever the silent world topic came up. Some laughed about human arrogance. Others whispered about something darker. Rellan tried to stay calm whenever the rumors spread. Maybe they have no fleet, he would tell the council. Maybe they fear us, but in his heart he sensed something strange. The way humans scanned back every message with perfect accuracy. They heard. They always heard. One evening, after the 9th unanswered call, Rellan stood by the viewing deck of the Galactic Hall. Stars stretched across the black, bright and gentle. His aide, Tyro, joined him. Why do they ignore us? Tyro asked quietly. Rellan hesitated. Maybe they simply choose to wait. Tyro frowned. Wait for what? I don't know, Rellan admitted. But something tells me, Earth is not sleeping. A small tremor shook the whole gravity fluctuation from a distant warp event. Delegates barely noticed. Rellan did. A cold prickle crawled up his spine. For the first time, he wondered if silence itself was a message. A warning wrapped in patience. He looked again into the endless dark. Whatever Earth is preparing for, he whispered, I fear we will learn it too late. And somewhere, far beyond the hall's reach, a ripple of space folded in on itself, as if the void was taking a breath. The next morning began like any other routine. Council debates, routine arguments, routine frustrations. But halfway through a dull trade discussion, every alarm in the Galactic Hall activated at once. Red lights washed across the chamber. Delegates jerked upright. Screens flickered with warnings. Unknown warp signatures. Detected massive energy readings vector. Sol System Rellan's throat tightened. How many? He asked the nearest officer. The officer looked pale. Hundreds, no. It's climbing 800. 1,000. He stopped counting. Sir, this is impossible. A hush fell over the chamber. Even those who hated Earth froze in terror. Put it on the main display, Rellan ordered. When the screen flared to life, the room fell utterly silent. A tear in space-wide as a moon blazed open near the Sol boundary. Ships poured out in formation, row after perfect row, each one larger and more heavily armored than the last. Their hulls burned with blue engine light and sharp white running lines. Human markings. Human signatures. Human engineering. Tyro whispered, this cannot be real. Rellan felt his pulse hammer. It's a fleet, he murmured. A full war fleet. Not a fleet, someone said shakily behind him. A wall? The first wave alone held more firepower than most empires. The ships moved like a single organism, silent, steady, patient. They did not broadcast any message. They simply kept coming. 400, 600, 900. A second tier opened beside the first. Then a third. The count surged past 1,000 vessels, then 1,200. By the time the 20th wave appeared, no one dared speak. Tyro leaned closer to Rellan, voice barely a breath. Is this what they were waiting for? Rellan swallowed hard. The truth settled heavy in his chest. No, he whispered. This is what they were preparing us for. Only one question remained. Why come now? The Armada did not attack. It held position just beyond the Sol border, silent, unmoving, radiant with cold blue light. The galaxy watched in breathless dread. Every species expected an ultimatum. Instead, a single transmission arrived. Not a threat, not a war cry, a request. Ambassador Rellan of the Ori's Dominion, we invite you aboard. Signed, Admiral Mara Ellen. Terran Command. Rellan stared at the message, confused. Why him? Why not the council chair? Why? A personal invitation. The hall erupted into arguments. Some demanded fleets. Some demanded refusal. A few demanded surrender. Rellan raised a hand. We must understand their intentions, he said. His voice trembled, but he didn't hide it. They didn't come to destroy us. They came to talk. Tyro's eyes were wide. You can't go alone. I won't be alone, Roland replied softly. Every species is watching. A shuttle from the human Armada arrived hours later, sleek, dark, and unnervingly quiet. Roland stepped inside. The doors sealed with a soft hum, and gravity shifted gently. The interior surprised him. No gold, no ceremony. Just clean metal floors, soft lights, and a calm hum of engines older than anything in the hall. A human woman waited for him, steady, with tired eyes that had seen too much. Ambassador Roland, she said, offering her hand. I'm Admiral Ellen. Thank you for coming. Roland shook her hand carefully. The entire galaxy is afraid. I know, she answered. And I'm sorry. We didn't want fear. But time is short. Roland frowned. Time for what? Ellen took a slow breath. There's something coming, she said. Something that destroys whole star clusters. We've been preparing for years. Roland's heart thudded. Why didn't you answer the summits? We were listening, she said, but we couldn't join. We needed every second. She turned toward a window, where thousands of human ships glowed in the dark. Earth stayed silent, she said quietly, because we were building the last line of defense. Roland followed Admiral Ellen down a long corridor lined with holographic projections. Each one showed a different region of space-burned systems, shattered planets, nebulae ripped open like wounds. What did this? Roland whispered. Ellen didn't answer immediately. She stopped at the final projection, one that showed a faint, swirling mass at the edge of the galaxy. It looked like a storm made of darkness itself. No light escaped it. No signal returned from inside. We call it the Abyssal Swarm, she finally said. Not truly alive, but hunting everything that is. Roland's chest tightened. How long have you known? 30 years, Ellen replied. We discovered the first traces near a Terran research colony. By the time we arrived, nothing was left. Her voice caught for the first time. We built ships. We researched, trained, dug through old human myths, looking for anything useful. Every scientist, every engineer, every pilot worked with the same goal. Stop the swarm before it reaches the core. Roland stared at the dark projection. Why involve us now? Because the swarm changed direction, Ellen said. It's no longer drifting along the rim. It's coming straight toward the Council systems. Humanity alone can't stop it now. Roland looked at her sharply. So your silence wasn't arrogance? No, she said softly. It was fear. And responsibility. A deep rumble vibrated through the ship. Ellen tapped her earpiece, listening. Swarm fragments detected on long-range scan, a voice reported. Small, but real. Roland felt a cold shiver crawl across his skin. Ellen turned to him. We didn't come to threaten the galaxy. We came to stand with it. She placed a hand on the window. Outside, 2,000 Terran warships adjusted formation. Engines glowing like a wall of stars. Humanity isn't here to make demands, she said. We're here because if we don't fight together, her voice lowered, we all die alone. The first swarm fragments appeared 3 days later. They looked like distorted shadows at Ficton, flickering shapes rising from the void. But the more Roland watched them, the more wrong they felt. Not ships, not creatures, something in between, moving without sound or light. Bending space around them like ripples on water. Human ships moved instantly. Admiral Ellen's voice echoed across the fleet. Hold formation. Weapons cold. Wait. Roland stood beside her on the command deck. Why not fire? We need to see how they move, she said. We only get one chance to understand them. The swarm drifted closer, slow but deliberate. When it entered range, every human console beeped at once. A tech officer cursed under his breath. They're scanning us, he said. Ellen's jaw tightened. Let them. Tense silence filled the deck. Roland could hear his own heartbeat. The shadows pulsed, then stretched, then snapped forward with terrifying speed. Ellen shouted. Human ships scattered in perfect synchrony, splitting into layered defensive arcs. The swarm struck the outer perimeter, its tendrils slashing through empty space like blades. Now? Ellen commanded. Thousands of Terran guns roared at once. Blue-white beams ripped across the darkness, tearing into the approaching shadows. The swarm shrieked not with sound, but with a vibration that shook Rellan's bones. Fragments exploded into dust, but more shapes grew behind them. As if born from the void itself, Tyro's voice crackled across the cum. Ambassador, the swarm is reforming. There's no end to it. Ellen slammed her fist down. We hold the line. The deck trembled violently. Sparks rained from overhead panels. A human officer staggered, but kept his console steady. Admiral, they're adapting. I know, Ellen growled. But so are we. Outside, the void lit with the fury of 1,000 suns as humanity refused to fall back. Rellan stared at their unwavering formation. For the first time, he understood why Earth had stayed silent. Humans didn't posture. They prepared, and now they fought like a species with nothing left to lose. The battle stretched for hours, maybe longer. Rellan lost track of time. The swarm kept coming like an endless tide, each wave stronger than the last. Human ships burned bright against the dark, engines flaring, guns thundering without pause. Finally, Admiral Ellen wiped sweat from her brow and gave a quiet order. Activate the veil. Every officer froze. Ma'am, are you sure? Yes, Rellan watched in confusion as the fleet shifted. Thousands of Terran vessels drew inward, forming a tight, circular wall around a single massive carrier at the center. Energy surged between them, thin at first, then thicker, glowing brighter with every second. What is this? Rellan asked. Ellen didn't look away from the window. Our last card. A barrier that collapses space itself. We've never tested it at full scale. Rellan swallowed. And if it fails? Then we buy the galaxy a little more time, she said softly. The swarm sensed the build-up. It lunged as one, a vast sheet of darkness rushing toward the human circle. Every shadow screamed with that awful vibration, hungry, endless. Ellen whispered. Now the veil ignited. Light erupted outward in a perfect sphere, blinding, silent. When it touched the swarm, the shadows twisted violently, pulled inward, as if gravity reversed. Space folded around them, crushing their forms into shards of nothing. One by one, the shadows vanished. When the veil dimmed, only drifting dust remained. The deck fell silent. Rellan let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. You did it, he whispered. Ellin leaned on the railing, exhausted. No, she murmured. We all did. Humans, aliens, everyone who chooses to stand together. Outside, the human armada held formation, scarred, battered, but unbroken. A wall of steel and light. Rellan looked at the thousands of ships, at humanity, silent no longer, and he understood the truth at last. Earth never ignored the galaxy. Earth waited for the moment the galaxy needed them most. The silence had been a promise, and humanity had kept it.